So we're jumping into chapter 3, 3.1. We're going to talk about lines and transversals. And we'll get to what a transversal means in just a second. So the first thing that's going to go on the back, just a definition, and we have a pretty good idea of what this means already. But what are parallel lines? What do we mean when we say the two lines are parallel?
They don't cut.
They never meet. So we know that they never meet. We're going to add one thing when we're talking about parallel lines. We're going to say two lines in a plane. That never meet. And we'll talk in just a second about why we say that those two lines are in a plane. So if we say that parallel lines are two lines in a plane that never meet, what do you think we mean when we're talking about parallel planes? Two planes that never meet. So thinking about just an example, kind of an everyday example, what would be something that we could think of as two parallel planes? Anybody have an idea? The floor and the ceiling. That's a perfect example. So the floor and the ceiling would be, if we extended those on forever, those, if they built the building right, those would never meet. So that would be an example of an everyday example of parallel planes. The front wall and the back wall, the two side walls would be parallel planes. Well, now we're going to talk about why we said that parallel lines are in a plane. We're going to talk about skew lines. Skew lines are two lines in space that aren't parallel and they never meet. So can anybody think of how we might be able to think of skew lines? So these are two lines in space, so we're in 3 dimensions. They never meet, but they're not parallel.
Not linear lines.
So not linear lines, so they're not going the same direction. And so what, just an everyday, can anybody think of an everyday example of two things not going the same direction, but never meeting? That's perfect. Something that's on top of the other one. The example I usually use is the main hallway downstairs and the C-wing hallway upstairs. They're not parallel, but they're never going to meet because one's downstairs and one's upstairs. If we thought of them being perfectly flat, we could think of like an elevated portion of a highway. So one road goes below, another road goes above. They never meet, but they're not parallel. So those would be skew lines. So that's why we say here that these parallel lines are in a plane. If we have parallel lines, we can make a plane. And we'll get more into detail about these things a little later. So now we're ready to start into our other side of our graphic organizer. Now our graphic organizer says when parallel lines are cut by a transversal. Well, today we're just going to talk about any line. So a transversal, so we know what that word means, a transversal, and you could add that to the front or the back, your choice where you want to put it. A transversal is just a line, a ray, a segment that intersects two other lines. And we can say two other lines, rays, or segments. I'll say lines for now. And you already have a picture drawn on your graphic organizer, and it's drawn as parallel lines. But on your graphic organizer, it looks like this, and you have a line going like so, and it says this is line L. Line L is the transversal. It's intersecting those other two lines. These two lines don't necessarily have to be parallel. Just any line that intersects two other lines is called the transversal. And on your graphic organizer, these are all angles are labeled 1, 2, 3, 4. This is already done on your graphic organizer. 5, 6, 7, and 8. What we want to do is name some of these. We give the names of some of these angles in pairs. We give them special names. So line L is a transversal. That's the line that cuts through the other two lines. We are going to call the area, the space between the two lines, the interior. So between the lines is the interior. Outside the two lines is the exterior. So the interior is between the two lines. Outside the two lines we call the exterior. And we're going to give some of these angles, special names. So starting in the upper left corner, it says alternate interior. Interior means we're between the two lines. Alternate means they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So alternate interior angles in your upper left-hand box means they are between the parallel lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. So our alternate interior are angle 2 and angle 8. So you can put that in your box. Angle 2 and angle 8. If you have markers, if you have highlighters, it can help to highlight. Angle 2 and angle 8 are alternate interior. And angle 3 and angle 5. Just can help you visualize these. I'm just going to back up a little bit here. I want to undo this, and I just want to rewrite this. So I highlighted these yellow, and I highlighted these red. So my alternate interior angles are angles 2 and 8, and angles 3 and 5. Inside the lines, and on opposite sides of the transversal. That's what alternate is. So those two are alternate interior angles. We'll fill in the bottom of that box that says alternate interior angles are. We'll get to that part a little later in the chapter. In the middle on the top, it says corresponding angles. Our corresponding means that they're in the same place for both lines. So my corresponding angles, I'm going to highlight those in some different colors. Angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding angles. So they're on the same side of the transversal. One is inside and one is outside. Same side of the transversal and to the left of the lines. So angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding angles. And there are several other pairs of corresponding angles here as well.
Wait, what's the definition of corresponding?
They are in the same place, they're on the same side of the transversal and in the same place next to the lines. So angle 1 is on top of the transversal and to the left of the line. Angle 5 is on top of the transversal and to the left of the line. So angle 1 and 5 are corresponding angles. Angles 2 and 6 are corresponding angles. These are both below or to the right of the line and above the transversal. So let me see if I can find a color for those. I forgot my angle sign here. So angle 2 and 6 are corresponding, and then the same pairs on the other side of the transversal. So angle 4 and angle 8. And finally, angle 3 and angle 7. So these are to the right of the line and on the bottom side of the transversal. So do that one and then that one. And we have a couple of other angle pairs that we'll talk about. And I'll let you guys, if you have a coloring scheme that you have going on, you can color that way. I'm not going to keep coloring these, but it can be helpful. So let me go switch pages, and I'll draw another one of these, and we'll fill out the rest of our boxes. So here are my lines. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so on the upper left, alternate exterior. Alternate exterior, alternate means on the opposite sides of the transversal, and exterior means outside the parallel lines. So alternate exterior are going to be angle 1 and angle 7. So here and here. And angle 4 and angle 6. Opposite sides of the transversal and outside the two lines. So those are our alternate exterior angles. And then on the bottom left, it says same side interior or consecutive interior. Well, the name explains what they are. They're on the same side of the transversal and inside the two lines. So our same side interior would be angle 3 and angle 8 on this side of the transversal. And on this side we have angle 2 and angle 5. Same side interior, same side of the transversal, inside the parallel lines.
What's the difference between the same side exterior and
It means the same thing, just different ways, different books, different people will say it different ways, but it means the same thing. And then the last one on the right, same side exterior or consecutive exterior. Same side of the transversal, outside the two lines. So angle 4 and angle 7 on this side of the transversal. And angle 1 and angle 6 on the other side of the transversal. So we're just giving names to these angles, these angle pairs that show up a lot when we talk about lines and transversals. Now on the bottom of your sheet, it talks about vertical pairs. What do we know about all vertical pairs of angles? They're congruent. And we have lots of vertical angles here. These two are vertical angles. 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 So vertical pairs are congruent. And there are lots of vertical pairs on these intersecting lines. And then on the bottom on the other side, it says linear pairs. And what do we know about linear pairs? They're supplementary. And supplementary means what? Add to 180. And we have lots of linear pairs here. Here and here, here and here. These two, here, 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 here. So lots of linear pairs here. Now we'll fill out the bottom part of the boxes on our graphic organizer later when we start talking about parallel lines. Today really all we wanted to do was name these various kinds of angles. Same side interior, same side exterior, alternate interior, alternate exterior, and corresponding. Now the angle pair that most students confuse are corresponding angles. So let me give you a hint about corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are the only pair where one is outside the lines and one is inside. All the rest are either both inside or both outside. Corresponding angles are the only ones where one angle is outside the two lines and one is inside. So that might help you remember. Yes? Yep. 5 and... I meant the ones we gave special names. Alternate exterior, alternate interior. The ones we gave special names to. But yeah, the linear pairs would have one inside and one outside. But it's the same side interior, same side exterior. Those pairs, the ones that most people confuse, are corresponding. So corresponding are the ones that have one angle inside and one angle outside the two lines. And some special things happen when our two lines that are cut by our transversal are parallel. Special things happen with these angles, and then we can use those things to prove things about other kinds of shapes. And we'll talk about that later in the chapter. Tonight, all your homework really has to do with is the names of these angles and figuring out which ones are which. So questions on that part of our graphic organizer? Okay. Our homework. I have to find it. So let me stop this.